The warning did not come with drama. It arrived as a simple silence. One by one, the galactic channels went dark. Trade signals stopped. Defense networks shut down. Worlds that once spoke every hour now said nothing at all. At first, Earth's watchers believed it was a system failure. Soon they understood the truth. Everyone else was running. Jiho Park stood on the command deck of Earth's Unified Defense Fleet Station, watching the last public transmission fade. It was a plea from a distant world, cut short in the middle of a sentence. The screen showed only static. Around him, officers stayed quiet. No one asked what it meant. They already knew. For centuries, the galaxy had shared one rule. When the Devourers appeared, you fled. The Devourers were not one species, but many, bound together by hunger and fear. They did not conquer. They erased. Entire civilizations vanished without leaving ruins or survivors. History recorded only one response that ever worked. Escape. Earth had been warned long ago. Humanity joined the galactic network late, and elders of older species had spoken carefully. They told humans to build fast ships, hidden colonies, and long-range survival plans. Humans listened, nodded, and did some of those things. But they also built something else. They built walls. They built weapons. They trained not just soldiers, but engineers, medics, and workers to endure long wars. Now the time had come. Hana Lee adjusted her glasses as data streamed across her console. She was not a soldier. She was a systems scientist, trained to see patterns in chaos. What she saw made her chest feel tight. The Devourers were already moving toward the Sol system. Their path was clear. Every world in their way was empty, abandoned, or burning. They are not slowing down, Hana said. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook. They expect Earth to be empty when they arrive. Jiho nodded. Then they will be wrong. Across Earth, emergency signals sounded. Not evacuation alarms. Not warnings to flee. They were calls to prepare. Factories shifted production within hours. Civilian transport ships were reassigned to carry supplies instead of people. Old defense platforms, long left unused, were powered on again. In the city of Bizon, Sunwoo Kim watched volunteers line up outside a training center. He had served in 3 border conflicts and retired believing he would never wear armor again. Now he stood before men and women of all ages. Some were young. Some were old. Many were afraid. None of them left. We will not pretend this will be easy, Sunwoo told them. Some of you will not survive. But if we run, none of us will. No one argued. In orbit, pilot Era Choi flew patrols far beyond safe limits. Her fighter was small and fast, designed for scouting, not war. She knew the odds. If she met an enemy ship, she would likely die. Still, she pushed forward. Every minute she stayed alive gave Earth more time. She saw the first sign of them near the edge of the system. Shadows where stars should have been. Shapes that bent light in wrong ways. She sent the data back and turned around, engines burning hot. They're real, she whispered, though no one asked. They're coming. On Earth, fear spread, but panic did not. People cried in private. Families held each other at night. In public, they worked. Schools became shelters and workshops. Parks turned into landing zones. Old stories were told again, not of victory, but of survival. Some voices argued for escape. There were ships that could leave. There was time, they said. Jiho Park listened to every argument. Then he made his choice. We will not become ghosts, he said in a broadcast to the planet. We will not leave our home empty and hope fear saves us. We will stand, not because we are stronger than the Devourers, but because this is our world. The message spread beyond Earth. Alien observers, hidden far away, watched with disbelief. Humanity was young, weak by galactic standards. Why did they not run like everyone else? Hannah Lee asked herself the same question late at night. She reviewed data until her eyes burned. She searched for weaknesses, patterns, anything that suggested hope. At last, she realized something strange. The Devourers had never faced a world that stayed. They expect fear, she said quietly. They move fast because no one resists. When the first Devourer scout entered the outer system, Earth was ready. Defense platforms fired together for the first time. The scout ship shattered under combined fire. The explosion lit the dark like a brief sunrise. Ira Choi watched it from a distance and laughed, a sharp, surprised sound. "We hit them," she said. "We actually hit them." The victory was small. It changed nothing about the scale of the coming war. But it changed something else. Across the galaxy, hidden receivers picked up the signal. A young species had not fled. They had fired back. Jiho Park looked at the wreckage drifting through space. He knew worse was coming. He knew Earth might fall. But for the first time since the silence began, he felt something stronger than fear. Humanity was still there, and it was waiting. The days after the first attack were tense and quiet. People moved carefully, not out of fear, but because everything had changed. Factories ran day and night. Engineers, soldiers, and volunteers worked together. Ships that had never flown were launched into orbit. Old satellites were armed. Even the smallest towns found ways to help, sending supplies, information, and recruits. Sun-Woo Kim stood in the training yard, watching recruits practice with whatever equipment he had. Some were old enough to be retired, others too young to serve in regular armies. Yet all moved with focus. When a cannon fired or an alarm sounded, no one panicked. They only adapted. Sun-Woo felt pride mixed with worry. They were strong in spirit, but the enemy they faced was stronger, smarter. And without mercy. Ira Choi flew another patrol mission, her small fighter cutting through the dark edges of the solar system. She had barely returned from the last mission when new orders came. She had to scout deeper, near a distant asteroid belt. Every corner of space felt like a trap. Yet each mission brought knowledge, and knowledge brought small victories. Every report she sent back allowed Earth to adapt faster than the Devourers expected. In the command center, Hannah Lee studied alien ship patterns. She had not slept for days, but she barely noticed. Data poured in from multiple sensors, combining intelligence from patrols and automated satellites. Slowly, she began to see how the Devourers moved. They were fast, but predictable. They expected worlds to flee. They had never been challenged like this. Hannah realized humanity could use their confidence against them. Jiho Park walked through the corridors, speaking to anyone he saw. Soldiers, engineers, medics, volunteers all needed encouragement. The fear was still there, quietly waiting in the minds of many. Jiho did not remove it. Fear was natural. He wanted them to feel it and still act. "Courage is not the absence of fear," he said repeatedly. "It is moving forward even when fear is strong." Alien species secretly watched Earth, trying to understand why humans did not leave. The younger races, small and fragile, were the first to communicate. Messages floated near the edges of controlled space. Some were warnings, others were disbelief. One small species sent a fleet to observe. They watched humans repair ships in record time and train civilians in days. Their observers whispered to each other. This species, they said, was not normal. Earth's fleets began to operate as a single unit, something never attempted before. Patrols moved in coordinated patterns, scouts signaling ambush points. Civilian ships, normally used for trade, were converted to supply carriers and emergency shelters. Even cargo drones were armed with small weapons, enough to take down small scouts or delay larger ships. Every resource mattered. Every person mattered. Choi's team spotted the first real battle formation of the Devourers near the Kuiper Belt. The enemy ships were large and deadly, surrounded by smaller attack vessels. Era radioed Jiho immediately. "They're coming in force," she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands were tight on the controls. "We can't let them get close to Earth." Jiho responded with calm authority. "Then we stop them before they reach orbit. Use every advantage. Force them into traps. Remember, they do not know we will fight." Sun Woo Kim coordinated ground and orbital defenses. Explosives were placed strategically along the asteroid belt. Satellites fired energy pulses. Automated drones harassed the enemy scouts. Humans were clever, using what little they had in ways the Devourers did not expect. Era led small squads of fighters, performing maneuvers that seemed reckless, but succeeded because of speed, planning, and unpredictability. Hana Lee discovered that the alien ships relied on sensors to find easy targets. They assumed fear would guide the decisions of humans. Instead, humans hid, adapted, and then struck. Even minor countermeasures caused confusion. A single ship destroyed or disabled could stop a formation long enough for humans to regroup. Slowly, Earth's resistance began to form a pattern the enemy could not anticipate. Civilians helped in ways that mattered. Doctors treated soldiers and volunteers alike. Engineers repaired machines under fire. Families provided food, housing, and encouragement. Children helped by carrying messages, small parts, or supplies. Every act, no matter how small, became a part of the defense. People began to understand the truth. Survival was not about one hero, one general, or one fleet. Survival was about all of them working together. When the first Devourer fleet finally entered the solar system proper, Earth was ready. Sensors picked them up in time to warn every station, every city, every fleet. The fleets of Earth moved as one, confronting the enemy at every point they could. Small attacks turned into larger ones. Ambushes slowed the fleet. Even when humans were pushed back, they learned and adapted immediately. Every loss was counted and used to improve the next defense. Choi led a daring attack on a heavily armed scout group, taking the fight into the heart of the enemy formation. She dodged fire, guided missiles, and destroyed multiple targets before returning to Earth orbit. Her reports showed patterns that Hana Lei could use to build stronger defenses. She became a symbol to many, proof that one person's courage could inspire thousands. Jiho Park spoke to the fleet, to cities, and to schools. His messages were simple. We will face fear. We will face death. But we will not run. Every choice matters. Every life matters. This is our home. We will fight. Even as fear lingered, courage grew stronger. Humanity had begun to understand what made them different. Other species ran when danger approached. Humans faced it. They adapted faster, worked together more deeply, and refused to give up. It was not skill alone that would save them. It was spirit. When the first skirmish ended, the enemy fleet retreated slightly. They had not been defeated, but they had been delayed. And for the first time in the galaxy's history, they did not expect resistance from a young species like humans. Their observers whispered in fear and confusion. One small fleet even sent back a warning, quietly, to others watching. Humanity did not flee. Sun Woo Kim, Era Choi, Hana Lee, and Jiho Park gathered after the battle. The station was filled with the hum of machines and the quiet chatter of exhausted crew. Everyone knew worse was coming, but no one was afraid to face it. They had tasted victory. They had seen the power of standing together. And that knowledge gave them strength no weapon could provide. Humanity had begun its stand, and the galaxy had started to notice. The Devourers had not expected resistance, and the human defense shocked them. Their ships moved quickly, but each attempt to enter Earth's orbit was met with prepared traps. Lasers, missiles, and countermeasures slowed them. Even small attacks inflicted damage. Every skirmish became a lesson for humans, and every lesson was used to prepare the next defense. Jiho Park watched the situation unfold from the main command center. He knew that numbers alone could overwhelm humans eventually. Yet he also knew that humans did not fight like other species. Their strength was in their unpredictability, in their unity, and in their refusal to give up. He gave orders with calm precision. No one panicked. No one hesitated. Every choice was deliberate, every move calculated. Ira Choi led a squadron to intercept incoming ships near the asteroid belt. Her small fighters darted among rocks, firing missiles and energy pulses. They destroyed a scout formation that the enemy believed would reach Earth unchallenged. Era's skill and courage inspired other pilots. Her name spread across the fleet as one who faced death and returned to fight again. Every victory, no matter small, gave hope. Hana Lee continued to analyze the alien technology. Using fragments recovered from battle, she developed new weapons and shields. She realized the Devourers relied on sensors and speed. They expected planets to flee, but Earth did not. Using decoys, sensor jammers, and fast counterattacks, humans began to confuse and slow the enemy. Each new development gave Earth more time and more confidence. Sun Woo Kim coordinated forces on the ground and in orbit. Civilian volunteers operated drones, repaired equipment, and assisted in supply lines. Children delivered messages and small parts to help in repair. Farmers and engineers worked together to keep cities powered and defenses ready. Even without training, people contributed in ways that mattered. The Devourers could destroy ships and stations, but they could not destroy the human will to act. Alien observers continued to watch, some openly in disbelief. Other species who had fled wondered why humans did not run. They watched as cities repaired damages in hours, as civilians volunteered in dangerous zones, and as soldiers adapted rapidly. Humans were young, weak, and outnumbered, yet they fought in ways that shocked everyone. Some small alien races even began quietly sending supplies and information to help Earth. They were inspired by humans' courage. The battles were not easy. Devourer ships were powerful and deadly. Many human ships were lost, and stations were damaged. Yet every loss was used to learn and improve defenses. No mistake was repeated. Every action built experience and strength. Humans adapted to the enemy, finding weaknesses and exploiting them. For the first time, a species faced the Devourers not with fear, but with strategy and courage. Ara Choi led a risky strike on an enemy command vessel. She maneuvered through fire, dodged missiles, and destroyed weapon systems. Her fighter was badly damaged, but she returned to orbit with valuable information. Hana Lee immediately used the data to improve shields and predict enemy tactics. Every small victory mattered. Every human effort multiplied in strength. Jiho Park addressed the fleet and cities. We face a force that believes no one can stop them. They are wrong. We are not alone. Every person who stands, every person who works, is part of our defense. Fear is natural. Courage is choice. We choose courage. Humanity's stand began to affect the Devourers. Their formation broke more often. Their ships moved slower, cautious now. Humans did not attack blindly. Every countermeasure, every ambush, every trap forced the enemy to adapt. For the first time, the Devourers experienced uncertainty. Their confidence had been absolute. Earth changed that. Civilian efforts on Earth continued tirelessly. Engineers repaired stations under fire. Families transported supplies across destroyed roads. Teachers taught emergency procedures to children. People learned how to defend themselves and help others. Survival became a shared purpose. No one acted alone. Every individual was part of the whole. Sun Woo Kim led a convoy of emergency drones into orbit to supply the frontline ships. The mission was dangerous, with enemy patrols nearby. He guided the drones and ships carefully, using terrain, timing, and distractions. All survived. The mission proved that careful planning and cooperation could achieve what seemed impossible. Hana Lee discovered the aliens' main weakness. They expected fear to guide humans. They counted on panic and flight. But humans did not flee. They adapted and acted. This knowledge became key to strategy. By controlling information and using decoys, humans caused confusion in the enemy ranks. Every delay gave Earth more preparation time. As days passed, humanity became stronger. Small victories accumulated. Each success boosted morale. Fear was still present, but it became part of courage. Humans had begun to understand that survival depended on unity, adaptation, and willpower. The galaxy had never seen a species fight like this. The devourers began to retreat slightly after each encounter, regrouping and trying to understand why humans resisted. Observers from other species whispered in shock and fear. Humanity, a young and underestimated species, fought in ways that changed expectations. They did not have the fastest ships or the largest weapons. They had spirit, will, and strategy. Jiho Park looked at the reports and screens, knowing that worse battles were coming. Yet he did not despair. Humans had begun to prove something to themselves and the galaxy. They had shown that they could face fear and act. They had proven that courage and cooperation could be stronger than raw power. Era, Choi repaired her fighter and prepared for the next mission. Sun Woo Kim organized another convoy. Hana Lee continued her work, finding new ways to counter enemy technology. Every person had a role, and every role mattered. Human strength was not just in weapons, but in unity, spirit, and refusal to give up. Earth had not yet won. Battles would continue. Ships would fall. Stations would be damaged. Yet humanity's stand had begun to turn the tide. They were no longer a species waiting to be destroyed. They were a species that fought, adapted, and endured. And as alien observers recorded every move, whispers spread across the galaxy. The humans did not run. They did not surrender. They fought. And in doing so, they began to change the way the galaxy understood strength, courage, and survival. The war around Earth had reached a new level of intensity. The Devourers now realized that humans would not yield. Each engagement was larger, deadlier, and more complex. Yet humanity adapted at every turn. Cities worked as fortresses, fleets moved in tight coordination, and civilians became part of the defense effort. Every person, no matter their age or experience, had a role. Every act mattered. Jiho Park coordinated the defense from the command center. Screens displayed incoming enemy fleets, their formations, and their targets. Each attack brought new challenges. Ships would fall, stations would be damaged, and supplies threatened. Yet Jiho remained calm. He knew the key was not to fear loss, but to adapt and use every resource effectively. Era Choi flew sorties daily, her small fighter darting through debris fields and enemy fire. She led risky attacks on key enemy vessels, often returning with valuable information. Each mission carried danger, but each success allowed Earth to improve its defenses. Era's courage inspired other pilots. Her determination became a symbol for both soldiers and civilians, showing that humans could fight even when odds seemed impossible. Hana Lee worked tirelessly on new strategies and technologies. She studied enemy ship patterns, their weaknesses, and their overconfidence. She developed countermeasures that exploited their reliance on fear. Decoys, sensor interference, and energy pulses disrupted enemy formations, buying precious time. Her inventions saved countless lives and provided hope for the human fleet. Sun Wu, Kim organized supply lines and defensive positions. Civilians helped repair stations, transport materials, and deliver medical aid. Schools became workshops and shelters. Farmers and engineers joined to maintain energy supplies and critical systems. Everyone understood that survival required effort from all. Even small actions had an impact on the battlefield. The enemy launched a massive attack, pushing deeper into the solar system. They had assumed humans would panic or flee. Instead, humans used every tactic available to slow, confuse, and damage the fleet. Every ambush, every diversion, and every small counterattack added up. The Devourers began to lose coordination. Their overconfidence was faltering. Ara led a dangerous strike against the enemy command ships. She maneuvered through heavy fire, avoiding destruction while disabling critical weapons. Her squadron followed her example, risking life and machine to weaken the enemy. Each small success gave Earth more room to breathe, more time to strengthen its defenses, and more hope that survival was possible. Jiho addressed the planet through broadcast channels. "We fight not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Every person contributes. Every choice counts. We will face danger, but we will not abandon our home. Courage is the choice we make each day. Fear is natural, but courage is action." His words resonated across cities, ships, and stations. Morale grew stronger. People understood that every small act was part of the larger fight. Alien observers watched closely, many in disbelief. No species had ever resisted the Devourers like this. Small fleets that had fled before now sent secret messages of support. They began to see humans differently, not as weak newcomers, but as a species that could fight when all others ran. The ripple of humanity's courage began to spread across the galaxy. Hana. Lee discovered more about the enemy's command structure. Their reliance on fear to control ships and crews was a weakness. Humans had broken that expectation. By staying calm under attack and acting decisively, humans disrupted enemy plans. Each skirmish allowed humans to learn, adapt, and counter the next move more effectively. Their courage became a weapon as powerful as any gun or missile. Sun Wu, Kim led a convoy of critical supplies through a heavily contested zone. His team used clever timing, careful planning, and strategic diversions to reach the fleet without loss. Every successful mission strengthened the connection between Earth's defense forces and civilians. They were not separate. They were part of a single organism, acting in unison against the threat. Era Choi repaired her fighter, preparing for the next sortie. She reflected on the courage of those who could not fight in space, the families, volunteers, and civilians who kept Earth alive and running. She realized that the human stand was not just in the battles above the planet, but in the determination of millions to endure, adapt, and contribute. Jiho Park reviewed reports from every front. The Devourers were slowing, cautious now. They had never met a world that refused to surrender. Every engagement had taught humans new tactics, and every adaptation frustrated the enemy. Earth was battered, but it had survived. Humanity's stand was proving that unity, courage, and intelligence could challenge even overwhelming odds. Hana, Lee suggested a bold plan to target the enemy's central command ships. If executed carefully, it could cripple their organization and force a retreat. Jiho approved, understanding the risk. Era Choi's squadron would lead the attack, supported by a fleet coordinated to exploit any weakness. Every person involved knew the stakes. Failure could mean disaster, but success could change the course of the war. As the humans prepared, Civilians continued their work without complaint. Engineers repaired systems under pressure. Teachers organized emergency drills. Families provided food, water, and medical supplies. The entire population understood that their actions mattered. Every effort contributed to the defense. Every contribution counted. The battle began with chaos and fire. Explosions lit the darkness of space. Ships maneuvered, dodged, and fired with precision. Choi led daring strikes, taking down enemy weapons and defending weaker human vessels. The fleet worked in perfect coordination, exploiting weaknesses and seizing opportunities. Each act of bravery, each successful maneuver, furthered humanity's cause. In the end, the attack succeeded in forcing a temporary retreat of the enemy command fleet. The Devourers had not been defeated, but their confidence had faltered. Humanity had proven that they could fight intelligently, courageously, and relentlessly. Earth was scarred, but it had survived another day. Jiho Park addressed the planet again. We have faced fear and danger, and we have endured. We fight because we must, and we fight together. The enemy expected weakness and cowardice. We gave them strength, courage, and resistance. This is who we are. This is humanity. The galaxy began to notice. Humanity, once underestimated, had begun to change the way other species viewed courage, strength, and survival. They had not yet won, but they had begun to teach a lesson that no other species had ever learned. When humans stand, they fight with every part of themselves, and they do not yield. The final battle loomed, and the Devourers had gathered their largest fleet. They believed that Earth would finally fall, that humanity would be crushed like all the other species before it. But humans had learned, adapted, and grown stronger through every challenge. Earth itself had become a fortress, and its people a single, unified force. Jiho Park stood on the command deck, his hands steady despite the tension in the room. Every station, every ship, every volunteer was ready. The civilians had turned factories into weapons hubs, schools into command centers, and parks into shelters. Every person knew their role, and every act mattered. This was humanity at its finest, and Jiho knew the outcome depended not just on skill, but on spirit. Choi led her squadron through the darkness of space, weaving between asteroids and enemy fire. Her fighter had been repaired countless times, but she had grown in skill and courage. Each sortie tested her limits, yet she returned again and again, a symbol of persistence and bravery. She knew that the lives of everyone on Earth depended on the fleet holding together, on every pilot performing perfectly. Hana Lee worked tirelessly, analyzing enemy formations and communication patterns. Using every piece of recovered technology, she developed new strategies to disrupt the Devourers' command structure. She discovered that their reliance on fear had created cracks in their organization. By exploiting these cracks, humanity could gain the advantage, even against overwhelming numbers. Each calculation, each adjustment, gave humans a chance. Sanwoo Kim organized the deployment of supplies, repairs, and reinforcements. Civilians continued to help, moving food, energy, and medical aid where it was needed most. Children delivered messages and equipment. Teachers trained adults and children alike in emergency procedures. Every act, every effort was part of the defense. Every citizen became a soldier, whether they held a weapon or not. The enemy arrived in force, their fleet stretching across space like a dark wall. They unleashed waves of attack, striking at stations, ships, and satellites. The battle raged with fire and explosions. Humans had anticipated the attack, and their defenses were prepared. Every movement, every maneuver, was designed to counter the Devourers' expectations. They expected fear. They found determination. Choi led daring strikes against the enemy command ships. She and her squadron moved with precision, disabling weapons, disrupting communication lines and confusing the enemy fleet. Each attack slowed the Devourers, forcing them into mistakes. Humans adapted quickly, using every advantage and exploiting every weakness. Every small success added up, turning the tide of the battle. Hanali monitored every engagement, directing countermeasures, rerouting energy, and coordinating fleets. Her strategies exploited the enemy's reliance on fear and their assumption that humans would panic. Each ambush, each trap, caused confusion and slowed their advance. Even as enemy ships fell, humans remained vigilant, ensuring that no corner of Earth's defense was left weak. Jiho Park addressed the planet during the battle. We fight because this is our home. We fight because every person matters. We face danger not with despair, but with courage. Fear is natural, but courage is choice. We choose to act. We choose to endure. We choose to fight. His words spread through every communication channel, reaching ships in orbit, command centers on Earth, and volunteers in every city. Morale soared. Civilians continued to support the fight. Engineers repaired stations under attack. Medics treated the injured, and families provided supplies. Even those who could not leave their homes contributed, sending messages of encouragement and guidance. Each act, no matter how small, became part of the larger effort. Humanity's strength was not just in weapons or numbers, but in unity and purpose. The Devourers began to falter. Their overconfidence had been broken. Human resistance, intelligence, and courage had created uncertainty in their ranks. Fleet formations broke, command ships lost control, and morale dropped. Humanity had achieved what no one believed possible. They had made the enemy hesitate. Era Choi and her squadron delivered the final strike to the enemy command fleet, crippling their leadership. Enemy ships, now disorganized and confused, began to retreat. Humanity had not destroyed them completely, but they had forced the first retreat in recorded history. The Devourers had underestimated humans, and that mistake had cost them. Jiho Park addressed the planet once more. We have faced the greatest danger the galaxy has known, and we have endured. Earth stands because we stood together. We did not run. We did not surrender. Every person played a part in our survival. This is humanity. This is our courage. The galaxy took notice. Other species, once fleeing, began to reconsider their choices. They saw humans as a species that could fight, endure, and protect themselves. Humanity had reshaped expectations of strength, not through conquest, but through unity and courage. They had taught the galaxy that standing together, refusing to abandon hope, and fighting when all others ran was the greatest power of all. Earth was scarred. Cities were damaged, fleets were battered, and lives were lost. Yet the planet remained standing, a testament to the spirit of its people. Jiho Park, Era Choi, Hana Lee, Sunwoo Kim, and millions of others had proven that survival was not only possible, but a choice that humanity embraced fully. The Devourers had retreated, and Earth was free for now. Humanity did not claim dominance. They claimed survival, unity, and courage. Their stand had changed the galaxy's understanding of strength. They had fought when every other species ran, and by standing together, they had shown the true power of humanity.